I'm Callie Crossley. This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley.
I spent $40,000 on shoes and I have no place to live?
I don't think you ever really loved me. I think you loved the idea of you and me, but not so much me. Not me, not really.
Wade splits the D. Oh my! What a play by Dwyane Wade!
Nothing can replace it. Call a radio if you just can't be without you, baby. Yeah.
'Cause all of me loves all of you.
You probably recognize the work of actor and producer Sarah Jessica Parker, basketball phenom Dwyane Wade, queen of hip-hop soul Mary J. Blige, actor Cameron Diaz, and singer-songwriter John Legend. And maybe you know that these stars of film, TV, music, and sports are running a flavorful side hustle. They are a handful of celebrities who've started producing and selling their own wine. Why are so many celebs jumping into the wine industry? And are their fame-infused wines worth the hype? We're sipping with the stars as part of our Summer Fun Series. And joining me now, Jonathon Alsop, founder and executive director of the Boston Wine School and author of the Wine Lover's Devotional and In Vino Veritas. Welcome, Jonathon.
Thank you, Callie. Great to see you.
It's good to see you, too. We have quite a number of wines to taste, and I'm excited about it. And we're going to tell the truth, as we always do.
Okay. if you insist.
I insist. I may love the actor, but I might not like the wine. We'll see. All right, what are we starting off with?
Okay. So let's start with a couple of sparklers. This is the Aveline Sparkler from Cameron Diaz.
I'm going to taste it, and then we should talk about
Yes.
how she got into the business and all of that.
Yes.
All right, so first, smells good. Got a good smell.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. So this is a Spanish sparkler. This is a cava from Spain. It's a blend of three Spanish white grapes no one's ever heard of. Macabeo, Xarello, and something called Pareada. They're very typical. If you're a fan of Spanish sparkling wine, these are very typical grapes that you'll find.
That's good. I think it's quite good, as a matter of fact. Okay, so the thing about Aveline, which is the wine that Cameron Diaz shares with her partner, Catherine Power, that's not life partner, that's business partner, they decided they just really wanted to do a different kind of what they call a clean wine.
Yes.
They're feeling like it wasn't clean enough for them. Let's take a listen to Cameron Diaz speaking about her wine line, Aveline, on the Drew Barrymore Show.
We sort of took this deep dive into winemaking, and we found out that there's over 73 ingredients that can be added to wine without any disclosure. And so we kind of just made clean, delicious wine. So we don't add any extra sugar. We don't add any colors or concentrates. It's all organic. And we made, first and foremost, delicious wine. Am I correct?
Okay. Well, she, knows how to sell her own product. First
Indeed.
of all, there's a little controversy about the use of the word organic with wine, so I'm going to let you address that first.
Organic, clean. I mean, Cameron Diaz stepped in a giant pile of public relations when they launched this wine because they were advertising it as clean, which is a completely undefined, totally non-technical term. And everyone got very bent out of shape because the implied slander is that, other wines are in some way unclean.
Right.
So now they've really backed off that whole clean narrative, and now they're using words like transparency, right? So you know where the wine comes from,
And what's in it.
how it's made, and now for all their transparency, I actually had a pretty difficult time finding out who the winemakers are of the wines. That information is kind of buried somewhere deep in the website. You can find it. And in fact, a lot of these winemakers that they're working with, very high score, very authentic, a lot of them are organic, either organically grown grapes or organically made wine. So
they're right about that.
Like for all the transparency, I'd sort of, I love Cameron Diaz. I love Cameron Diaz's name. But as a wine lover, I would bring forward you know, the winemakers as well, because that's just important.
And it also would give
information,
you credibility because this is not her main gig.
Of course
you
not.
know, okay?
Of course not.
Though she is retired, but she's doing a new film now. She came out of retirement to do just one film. But this is her thing. I actually got to know Aveline through her by watching a video that she did pairing one of her white wines with her popcorn recipe, which is delicious. So apparently she's a great cook. So if you're thinking about a wine that has food friendliness, I enjoyed that sparkling, and I'm interested to see, you know, what else is out there.
Yep.
Okay, so now
John Legend.
John Legend, the singer, a songwriter.
How? First of all, sparkling rosé from the south of France.
You had me at sparkling rosé.
I know I did.
you know how much I love
and
rosé.
you know what? We got John Legend in the other room.
Okay.
We're going to bring him in right now.
Thank you.
But you know, one of the things that we see, you know, we're talking about celebrity wine, and you know, we can go back to America's first spectacularly failed celebrity winemaker, Thomas Jefferson.
Well, that's true.
And, you know, the celebrity winemaking is something that's, you know, there's a long history of that. Fred McMurray, the actor, Fred McMurray,
My Three Sons.
Raymond Burr had Ironsides,
right.
and even the Smothers Brothers. Smothers Brothers had a winery, Mario Andretti, sports figures. There's this long history of, let me think how I can put it. White men, having vineyards and wineries. Okay. And when that happens, of course, we say things like, "Wow, I never saw that side of Tommy Smothers. I never saw that side of Raymond Burr." But one of the things that we see in these celebrity wines is, one, the color of the wine is changing. A lot of rosé. When we taste this Mary J. Blige Pinot Grigio, that's a rosé of Pinot Grigio. So the color of wine is changing.
Well,
The
I think
gender of the
is
winemakers and the color of the winemakers is also changing, and that's something that we're really, and that is what we are learning from. That is how the wine world is shifting as well.
And I think what's interesting is it seems to me a group of folks who say they're in the wine business and they really lead you to believe they're in the wine business, like they're doing it. And there are other people who have just appreciated wine, as we'll see in this conversation, over time and really sought good winemakers and really want to understand and want to promote, you know, what good wine is and how to appreciate it in that way. But all right, so before we listen to taste John Legend's wine, let's take a listen to John Legend talking about his wine.
I love wine personally. I associate wine with some of my favorite experiences. My approach to making music is very similar. You don't always get it perfectly and everyone's taste is different, but at least you know you go into it with the same goal and hopefully you come up with something magical.
I think that's rather humble. Is this mine?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So this is John Legend, LVE, which stands for John, I think, well, you know, I think his name is in it. So it'll come to me in a second. Well, it smells awfully sweet, I have to say. And I just want to make a point that most rosés are not sweet. But this one is giving me quite this very fruity.
Very, you know, you think about classical, you know, French champagne being very edgy, being very angular, being very sharp. It's words people will sometimes use to describe. This is much softer. Soft carbonation, soft fruit flavors.
It kind of hits you in the nose, though, with the fruitiness. It might be just a little too fruity for me. It's okay. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down if somebody
if John Legend was pouring it for you, you'd
Hi, John.
Well, and Callie, I mean, something that we understand about your taste is that the lighter, fruitier, happier, positive mental attitude wines, those are not your style. You like something a little more combative. And this is something, you know, this is a sparkling wine that, you know, this is the kind of thing you could open first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Just sip all day long.
Yeah, you're probably right. I like a more herbaceous vibe,
Right.
a little bit more minerality, a little more acid.
Yeah, this is too likable for you. Right.
Well, again, if people were looking for a food friendly, this is not going to interfere with whatever particularly your summer food. So, and it chills very nicely. We chilled it before several hours, and it's held up. I think I think it's good. Color's good. It's very pretty. I think it's nice.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And you know, people may think this is like shallow and one-dimensional, but you know, the color of rosé, that's really a lot of its appeal, and that's really that's a huge part about what it is in rosé that pleases us. Right. It's not just the smell, it's not just the flavor, it's not just the active ingredient.
Yeah,
right. It's the color too.
Exactly, it has to attract your eye, all of your senses, and there is a shade for everybody in the rosé spectrum.
Yes.
So
yes.
I mean, I like the color. It's fine. I think I'm a little about the wine itself. How about you? You didn't really say whether you said it was likable.
Well, again, I think coming back from the beach, hot sunny day, maybe even over like some frozen grapes, some frozen fruit, right, to keep it really, really chilly. I think it's just beautiful, and I love the way John Legend was talking about the musicality, because we use the language of music and sound to talk about wine all the time. Something like with really high frequency flavors, or so it's a natural fit that John Legend, his musical knowledge, relates also to his wine knowledge.
And after all, as we've said many, many times, you and I, it's really about the experience. So when you think about whether a wine really relates to you, it's all about the experience of drinking it as well. So there you go.
So true.
So if that were the case, then I should like all of them, because I'm here with you.
I'm doing what I can.
Okay. All right, what's next?
Okay, so let's roll into some white wine. This first white wine that you have right here, this is the Mary J. Blige Sun Goddess Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay, very good. All right.
So I met my wife, whom you know,
yes,
in 1991. And her daughter had a copy of Mary J. Blige's first hit. Didn't come out until '92, but she had friends who were DJs, and she had a pre-release copy of the tune. And I have such an association with this because Sheila's daughter would play this tune for me, which was kind of an explanation about how she felt about her mother, real love, right?
Yeah.
And I always have. The other day I quoted Tupac, and my wife rolled her eyes so hard I think she actually pulled a muscle. But as hard as it is to believe, Mary J. Blige music has really takes me back to that time, to falling in love with Sheila, to meeting her girls, and I've just been dying to taste this and.
Before I get you to comment on it, this is Mary J. Blige speaking about the inspiration behind her wine company, Sun Goddess.
I happened to be on tour with Maxwell 3 years ago, and he was hanging out with some friends, and his friends asked me, I was drinking white wine, and they asked me, why don't I do a white wine? And I just immediately said yes, because I love it, and I'm like, I didn't even hesitate. And so I guess the inspiration was just loving white wine.
I've seen her talk many times about how much she likes white wine, Pinot Grigio specifically, as she just said. So this is interesting because this is not the Pinot, this is the Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc. This is from a part of Italy called Friuli Venezia Giulia. It is the far, far upper right-hand corner part of Italy. Giulia, we know Julius Caesar. His family controlled and owned this part of Italy during Roman times. So the Julian family, this is where they come from. And it is one of the most famous, most well-known regions for white wine in Italy, specifically Sauvignon Blanc, specifically from Pinot Grigio. Very cold, foothills of the Alps. You know, when we think about Italian white wine, you've got Italian white wine that's grown in the foothills of the Alps.
Yes.
And you've got Italian white wine that's grown essentially in the Sahara of Sicily. They're both called Italian white wine. They could not be any different,
That's right.
any farther away.
Yes.
So this is cold climate. We're going to taste another one from Mary J. Blige in a second. But this is a cold climate Sauvignon Blanc.
All right, now, I like it, but I tend to, the Sauvignon Blancs that I enjoy the most come from New Zealand.
Yes.
All right, now,
Right.
so help me understand what's different here.
So New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, very acidic, very zippy, very edgy.
Yeah.
You dig it, I dig it.
Yeah.
But you could see how, like for some people, it could be too much.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, that's its
It's
main
there.
flavor
Right.
profile. It is like very, very
That's
there.
true.
And so this would be a great Sauvignon Blanc for people who find New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc to be a little much.
Yeah, okay.
This is another, I don't know if we're seeing a pattern yet, but this is an easier Sauvignon Blanc. This is a softer, less acidic, more round, maybe a little bit more like California
Yeah.
Sauvignon Blanc. Not with that same acidity, not with that same kind of edge that New Zealand has or Sancerre has.
So the roundness probably reminds me of Chardonnay, and you know how I feel about Chardonnay.
Yes. Well,
Anything but Chardonnay.
but you're right. This one, I mean, if you think about Sauvignon Blanc being over here and Chardonnay being over there, this is a Sauvignon Blanc that's definitely leaning
Right.
more towards Chardonnay.
But I can see that a lot of people would enjoy this.
yeah.
I have many friends that would really enjoy this. So, you know,
Yeah.
good for Mary. She's doing it. I'm not man,
I'm a
good for
fan.
that. Yeah. You're really liking it.
I am, but you know, Callie, it's the association.
It's the association.
I'm
We can't say enough that it really is about your taste level and what you want.
Oh, totally.
Well, you know what? We've now been
Totally.
checking the levels of alcohol
Yes.
in this wine. Can you check and see?
You know
because
what,
you've been
Callie?
talking to me about increasing levels of alcohol.
I need to get a 13-year-old in here to read this
Let
for
see.
me if I could.
Okay, let's see what this is. I'm trying to see.
13? 12 and
12.5.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's
Yeah.
something that, you know, you may want to pay attention to because as Jonathan and I have been speaking over time on the Under the Radar wine and food segments, the creeping, you know, increase of the
Yes.
level of alcohol is
Yes.
and it's weird, but it's happening.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it is absolutely.
yeah.
It is absolutely happening. And this 12.5% alcohol, that is, by today's standards, quite modest.
I know.
I mean, that's almost something you have to do on purpose. You know,
Exactly.
because you know, we're just getting grapes so much riper. You know, our agriculture is better, our grapes are riper, and you know, sugar in the grape equals alcohol in the wine.
Yes.
So when that sugar level goes up, it's really almost unavoidable. That alcohol level is going to go up too. So if you're going to make something with that more reined in, that's something you really almost have to do on purpose.
And we should say, we've not mentioned any prices. All of the bottles thus far that we've tasted are going from that 12 to 24
Yes.
range
Yes.
of cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
So approachable and accessible in
Yes.
flavor, also approachable in price.
Exactly.
So
All right, what's
okay.
next?
So our next white wine
This
there.
one?
Yeah. This is the Dwyane Wade Chenin Blanc.
Let me have a little water in between. That's
Sure.
another thing about wine tasting. Everybody should remember a little cleaning of your palate with wine with water really helps a lot.
Personally, I prefer my palate filthy.
Yes, we know.
But it is good. It is good to keep yourself properly hydrated while you're tasting wine.
The point is not to keel over. Sometimes when they're all so good, I forget this is a sip, not a drink. But anyway, here we go. All right, this is
So Dwyane Wade,
basketball phenom.
Phenom, Hall of Famer. The label is called 3 by Wade because in this line he has 3 wines: the Chenin Blanc, which we're tasting now, the Rosé, which we're going to taste, and then his Cabernet.
Okay.
So this grape this is a grape called Chenin Blanc. And this is one of the first European grapes that was planted in California back in the 1800s by winemakers who were, launching our modern California wine industry. So in some ways, it's a real heirloom grape. It's something that was spectacularly popular maybe until the 1960s and maybe the 1970s, and then went away as everyone discovered Chardonnay and Cabernet and Merlot, the noble. As everyone began to discover the noble grapes, this sort of homegrown, not a local grape, of course, but semi-local grape, it started to fall out of favor. And like a lot of things, whether it's Four Roses or Pabst Blue Ribbon in a can, these things are reemerging as like heirloom products that speak to us about. They speak to us about California wine today. They also speak to us about the origins of California wine. So a modern, postmodern celebrity winemaker like Dwyane Wade is going back 175 years conceptually to touch this original grape and then bring it forward into this form in the 21st century.
Well, it smells really good, I have to say. Also, fun fact, Chenin Blanc is practically like water in South Africa. Oh, yeah. It's just very common.
Yes.
People would not think that.
Yes.
And I like South African Chenin Blanc.
Yes.
Because people tend to think of it, as you said, from the European perspective. But South Africa is,
Well, you think about Pinotage
Yes.
being South Africa's signature red.
Yeah.
Chenin Blanc's their signature white.
That's exactly right, though. You don't always like Pinotage. I love it.
Well, and in South Africa, this wine is called Steen.
That's right.
Which means the rock, because it's the foundation of their wine industry too. It was also the first grape that South African winemakers planted as well.
Well, it's smelling good. Let's take a taste.
Boy, it's smelling really good.
Okay, I like this.
Oh yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, I'm
All right, Dwyane Wade.
I'm setting a screen. I'm setting a screen at the free throw line of life.
Pretty good.
Wow.
Ooh, this is.
I haven't even tasted this. This is.
Yeah,
really,
the aroma itself is really delicious.
Wow.
Oh, while we're over here pontificating, we should listen to Dwyane Wade speaking about his wine business, Wade Cellars, on the road tripping show in 2020.
So for me, it's just a passion project that it's turned into like a business now, and we're trying to keep our costs, pretty reasonable for the most part. Now, this wine right here, this is the flagship of my brand. It's the Wade Cab, and it costs $95, right? $90 to $95 depending. But the rest of my wines, like this, is like $20, and my other wines, my red wines, is like $35. My rosé is $15. So we try to keep it at a reasonable price and put great juice in the bottle.
Good.
Yeah, and this one is not $90. This one is more like $14.
Yes.
Yeah.
But his range of prices goes up because I think we can see here the quality of the winemaking. I mean, he's really joined with some fabulous winemakers.
So his winemaking partner is a man named Jason Pallmeyer. And people who are into California Cab, Napa Cab, especially Pallmeyer, very, very, Jason Pallmeyer is a Hall of Famer winemaker.
Okay.
So Dwyane Wade partnering with Jason Pallmeyer, that's just at the top of the that's just at the tip top of the wine world.
Well,
and I am one of the things that we talk about in wine is this idea of balance, which means pretty much whatever we want it to mean whenever we say it. But in the case of this wine, great fruit, like big fruit flavors, big fruit aromas, like really, really forward. But the texture of it, it's got at the same time it has these big fruit flavors. It's got a little bit of, to me, tiny bit of like red wine texture. It feels a little grippy too. So it's got, you know, and again, back to using musical terms, you know, this is not just like a one instrument band. You know, this has got some high frequency tones, it's got some low frequency tones, it's got some things in between. I mean, this is one of the things we look for when we start saying, hey, you know, this is great wine. You know, what are we looking for? And one of the things we're looking for is this broad dynamic range, this broad sonic range, flavor range of wine too. And wow, this wine's got it. Oof, so yeah,
that is really good.
Absolutely.
I hate to put that in the
absolutely
bucket.
Yeah,
that is delicious.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so back to Mary J. Blige, and this is her Pinot Grigio Ramato.
Okay.
So Pinot Grigio is the name of the grape. Ramato in Italian means copperish in color. So even though Pinot Grigio, the wine, is like 99.9% a white wine, people are amazed to find that Pinot Grigio, the grape, not a white grape, not a white grape, not a black grape, you know, not a red grape, but you know, Pinot Grigio can be splotchy, it can be mottled, it can have like blotches of color on it, and Grigio in Italian means gray. So literally, Pinot Grigio means the gray Pinot. So not white, not black, but gray. So even though most of the time we make white wine out of Pinot Grigio, this is almost a rosé because it's got all kinds of skin contact. Instead of just using the juice from Pinot Grigio, this wine is made also with a lot of skin contact. So the color that's in those skins in the fermentation process gets leached out into the wine. So you have here not a white Pinot Grigio, or you know, a lot of Pinot Grigio is like silver.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even the color of wine. It's more leaning like towards the color of water. So this is teaching us the reality that, you know, Pinot Grigio is not a white grape, even though we make white wine out of it. So this is unusual. This is unique. Yes, that's this is relatively rare to see Pinot Grigio treated like this. So
well, I'm excited because this is her stated favorite wine. So this is what got her into the business. It smells good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm smelling like kind of my first thought was like a marshmallow. Right?
I don't
like
get marshmallow.
kind of a,
I never get marshmallow. It's got a little acid for me, which I like. Ooh. Okay, this I really like.
Okay.
So this is still rounder than your basic Pinot Grigio that I would like, you know, primarily because of the edge.
Great.
But it's quite tasty.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's got, again, you know, a lot of people think of Pinot Grigio as kind of like, you know, we're out of water.
Exactly.
You know, let's get some Pinot Grigio. And it can be like that. I mean, it's delightful like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's something that, like, if you're a Pinot Grigio lover, and, you know, after you've drunk like 12 times your body weight in Pinot Grigio, you start asking yourself, hey, what else is there to drink?
Yeah.
So here's another style of Pinot Grigio. You know, you love the grape, you love the wine. Now you have a little bit more. You have a little more latitude in terms of Pinot Grigio style.
This would definitely help people who are stuck on Chardonnay to get out of that because this is quite tasty and it's still in their sort of white wine arena.
Yep.
All right, next.
Okay. Next, okay, another rosé. Back to Sarah Jessica Parker and her In Vivo X line. So her Sauvignon Blanc is generally from New Zealand, and that's really like some of her main focus. But here's a still not sparkling rosé from the south of France. So in some ways, you know, very much the same grapes as the John Legend sparkling rosé, but you know, with a much more classical treatment. When we think about When we think about the places in the world that are most famous for rosés, south of France is always at the top. Is always at the top of the list. So,
Okay. Is this mine?
yes.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm underwhelmed by the aroma.
Well, again, very fruity.
Yeah.
Fruity, flowery, friendly. This one.
You're getting more friendly than
Probably
I am.
not. It's probably not going to challenge you sufficiently.
Okay, this is colored water. This is no. And I love SJP, but come on, girl. I'm sorry. No. You're so kind. No. This is colored water.
One of the great. So rosé is spectacularly
you know how I
popular
feel
right
about
now.
it, yeah.
And it's been growing
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
Now, the good side of that is that we're finding a lot of rosés from places that we never thought about. Rosé, Chianti rosé, rosé of Tempranillo. We've drained, the known lakes of rosé. Now we're starting to go out and find some new rosé of Malbec from
And so
Argentina.
the bad side of that is that we're getting colored water.
Well, the other side is that it is so incredibly popular. People are like, is it pink? Does it have ethanol in it?
Well, I like a little taste,
Okay.
personally. This just nothing.
It's not working. This is not working for you.
It's not working for me.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but I'm going to let her.
Yeah.
I'm going to let her sell it. Here she is speaking on wine.com about rosé as part of her wine brand In Vivo X.
I didn't want something that was uber sophisticated, so complicated that it was like better than the drinker. Do you know what I mean? I wanted a table wine that people understood, but that had, I spoke to this gentleman the other day and I was like, oh, I wish those were my words. He said it's exuberant and complex. And I was like, yes, exuberant and complex.
Well, she's exuberant. Complex, it's not. That's just my opinion. Others may like it, but no. It's a no for me. Jonathan, you're kind of leaning toward yeah, maybe.
I'm kind of leaning towards, this is sort of right in the middle of.
You're kind.
This is sort of right in the middle of the vast outpouring of rosé that we're seeing around the world. I thought her first statement where she wanted something uncomplicated,
She's correct.
I was like,
This is
bingo,
uncomplicated.
bingo, girlfriend.
Yeah,
you totally right on target. So I thought, what she set out to do, she achieved completely.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay, so now our last rosé that we're tasting here, back to Dwyane Wade, back to Paul Meyer. Yeah.
So I come into it biased because the Chenin Blanc was so good, but this aroma is just kicking it.
So now, so not Southern French rosé, but California rosé.
I'm not picky.
And again, this is a blend of Zinfandel,
Love Zinfandel.
Syrah. I think there's a little Grenache and a little Tempranillo. This is one of the things that I love about modern 21st century winemaking is, there are places in Europe that if you blended like Grenache and Zinfandel and Tempranillo, you could go to prison for doing that. But here, free from those kind of constraints,
We try everything.
this is a blend. You think about the you think about the Tempranillo, you think about the Zinfandel, you think about the Syrah. This is a blend that was just geographically impossible until maybe the middle of the last century. So this is an entirely new wine for the planet.
All right, I'm going to see if the aroma stacks up to the taste. Also, I want to look at the alcohol content. Okay, SJP, this is what you need to make. This is delicious. God, Dwyane Wade, master of wine. This is really good.
Well, you know something?
How much is it? Because this stuff gets pricey at some point. Is this still in the $15, $20 range?
20.
Yeah. Okay, so I know at some point his stuff.
19.
Right.
Something like that. You know, you buy a case, you can get 20% off.
This is good.
I mean, there's ways to. Yeah. I'm liking this very much.
I would order this.
Yeah.
This is very good. Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah, very nice.
I hate to throw that out.
Well, in terms of, Dwyane Wade, he's been on some. I mean, this is a man who knows what it means to be on a team.
Yeah.
And like have a team and to have people contribute as a team, and he's picked the right partners. He's picked the right teammates for this.
This is great.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to red, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
for the red wine drinkers.
Red wine's not gonna taste themselves here.
I'm definitely doing the water cleansing palette thing here.
Okay.
Because we're jumping to a whole new thing.
Okay. So now we're back to, and Callie, I don't know if we ever talked about this before. This is something I just want to show. This is a screw cap wine.
Yes.
And a lot of
let's see how many we have. A few here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and one of the things that comes up in wine class all the time is how do you open a screw cap bottle of wine and still maintain your dignity?
Oh.
And, when we're at home,
Yeah.
we open it just like a normal person. We put it between your knees and twist it off. But if you want to pick your game up, or if you're in, like, let's say you're a server, a waiter in a server environment, what we do is instead of twisting from the top, you twist the collar.
Oh.
So if we were in a restaurant and I was presenting this wine to you, the way I would open it is I would just turn the collar,
Wow.
and that then breaks the cap.
Excellent tip.
Okay,
I love it. Okay.
So not the same as pulling a cork,
Yeah.
but better, no?
Yes, it's cleaner for one thing.
Yeah.
Because I can now see that the ribbing around the collar is made so that you twist the collar.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody's ever told me that, so I've been doing all kinds of stuff to get it off.
So back to Cameron Diaz and her friend. This is their Abilene. So this is made with organic grapes. This is a blend of Syrah and Grenache.
And she just calls it red blend.
Just red. She calls it red blend.
So.
Which is also something that's quite modern. A lot of old school wine lovers are a little bit leery of blends.
I like blends.
Like what is that? What is the snickerdoodle wine? What's the blending part? Us modern wine lovers, we kind of think everything should be 100% Cabernet or 100% Pinot Noir or whatever. But blends and people's acceptance of the blending idea is really something that's come back, I'd say, in the last 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
Well, I would say that if you're talking Scotch, single malt is good.
Right.
But blending, wine blending, I've just found that to just be so wonderful, so enhancing of the wine itself. I mean, it's fabulous.
Yeah, this 100%
grape, good.
This 100% grape idea in wine is really a very new. I mean, it was kind of Robert Mondavi who came up with that in the 60s. So this whole idea of naming your wine after the grape. Is really a very new,
well-known winemaker.
In an 8,000 year history of wine, this is a pretty new development.
I would say about this is that this is the approachable. It's very nice. I would feel very good taking this somewhere for casual dinner, but I also think you could, do the dressed up stuff too. It's pretty good. I mean, it's. I'm not going to leap out of my chair, but I think it's really good. Actually,
that is good.
I can.
That is solid. That is, we would say that is solid wine.
Now Cameron Diaz says this is her favorite
Okay.
of her line, of her own line. So
yeah,
I'm not mad at her for that.
No, that's quite good. That's good wine. It's unusual to see red wine in a white wine bottle.
That is true.
But maybe that's part of the transparency Maybe that's part of the transparency
And also,
concept.
people are more, honestly, I would say, I don't know what the numbers are, maybe you do, but people are more comfortable with white wine that feels to them that it's more approachable in general.
Right.
Even if they only drink Chardonnay, it just feels like it's more approachable. And red wine feels like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to know something
Right.
or whatever. So if this is her attempt to not only be transparent, but to bring people in,
Right.
She did a good job.
Yeah, and I did not know it was in a white wine bottle
Yeah.
until I poured a little out, or until I took the cap off and could see that. So.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
All right. Now this is Dwyane Wade
Dwyane
again.
Wade Cabernet. This is not his
Top
Wade
topper.
Cellars Napa Cabernet.
Okay.
This again, all of the Dwyane Wade wines that we're tasting today are all the 3 by Wade.
Okay.
So kind of his second.
Line.
I don't mean this to be like at secondary quality, but his second label, something more approachable, more affordable.
Right.
Still 29.
Okay,
even
so
as it is.
because to make the difference, the top line cab, which has won a number of wine
Yes.
awards, is about $90 a bottle.
$90,
Yeah.
and that's a 100% Napa,
Right.
single vineyard, and this is although this is 100% Cabernet, this is blended from Paso Robles Cabernet, Paso Robles Cabernet in way Southern California, Mendocino Cabernet in way Northern California, and Napa and Sonoma Cabernet. So you don't think about this being necessarily a blended wine because it's 100% Cabernet, but it is blended from different regions and different styles.
So all of our wines that we're tasting today, including Dwyane Wade's second line, is fun. They're all meant to be fun and approachable, which makes sense for our summer fun series of celebrity wine tasting. Now, you know how I feel about Cab. I've finally gotten to the point, people, where I confess I don't really like Cabernet Sauvignon. I know before anybody writes me and says anything. It's the king of red wine. I get it. I have lots of friends who love it, so I'm tasting for a friend now.
Okay. So what is it you're not loving about Cabernet?
It's just too heavy for me. I find it too heavy. I mean, even when it's really smooth, I just find it too heavy. And if I can go in a different direction, there's so many other wines to enjoy. Why don't I do that?
Well, so in Bordeaux, it's traditional to blend Cabernet with Merlot. Because Cabernet is exactly what you're talking about. Very earthy, very stony, very subterranean, very, very hard. And then Merlot, even though it's the same color as Cabernet and they're kind of in the same orbit, on this axis.
Yeah.
Merlot is fruity, juicy, and so that's why it's natural to do this blend. That Merlot kind of softens up the hard edge of the Cabernet.
All right, well, we'll see. Smells good.
Yeah.
I will say it smells really good.
Yeah.
And now, since I'm inclined to believe that Dwyane Wade knows what he's doing, he and his partners.
Now, got to be realistic about the fact that $29 a bottle. I mean, there's wine lovers that don't spend $29 a year on wine.
That's right.
So
That's a lot.
$29 a bottle is not nothing.
Right. No, it's not.
But the way that we like to think about this is that let's say you get 5 glasses out of each bottle of wine. That's only $6 a glass.
That's true.
You're paying $12 for a glass of Pinot Grigio someplace. So in terms of like where this fits in your life, if you're usually, let's say it's a special occasion, you want to spend twice as much. Usually spend $15 on a bottle of wine, but it's a special occasion. That's how we understand it. That's how we justify it to ourselves and our loved ones. We don't say this is a $30 bottle of wine. We say, can you believe this is only $6 a glass?
Okay, that makes sense.
That's how we.
Or you could think of it another way and have 4 people that you really like sipping your $6 a glass wine.
Yeah. Or
invite
3 people over and it's $7.50. We can do this, Callie. We can do this all day. We can do this all day long.
Yes, we can. I'm trying to work with people. This is pretty good.
And I too.
And it's not that I haven't ever had cab. I've had many cabs, and so I do. For people who are thinking, well, if you don't like it, what are you commenting about it? This goes down easy. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, it's not as heavy as I'd be interested now, actually, to taste his $94 a bottle, because I'd like to see, what's going on there. But this is pretty good.
No, I'm liking that. And again, we talked before about the Chenin Blanc having some, balance and range. This too, great. I mean, I like the texture. I like the stony. I feel like I smell brick dust.
Yeah,
like
okay, I'll go with you on that.
Like a little dusty,
right?
Like masonry kind of.
Yes, I think earthy is really quite the word for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you think about Paso. Paso is going to be very big, very ripe, very rich. Mendocino is going to be, Sonoma, Mendocino are going to be much leaner. And so, so instead of blending Cab and Merlot, what we're blending is, Southern California, more ripe, more fruity, with Northern California, less ripe, harder, to get some good teamwork, some good balance here.
All right. So in sum, not so bad, these celebrity wines. At least the ones that and listen, I know everybody was expecting me to taste Snoop Dogg. I just refused. That was just a point of principle. I just wasn't going to do it. But some people say it's pretty good. But of the wines that we taste today, the celebrity wines, I have to say overall, they're pretty good.
Yeah, and I would have to say overall, Dwyane Wade.
Exactly. Oh, well, of course, Dwyane Wade tops.
That Chenin Blanc.
Yes.
I'm just going to say A+.
Absolutely, but I like his rosé.
Yeah,
pretty strong.
The rosé, good too.
I would recommend the Cab to friends. I don't personally like Cab, but it's certainly a recommendation wine.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see of the other ones. The next one for me is Mary J. Blige, Pinot Grigio.
The Pinot Grigio,
It's pretty.
Yeah, just so
unique.
Yes,
and really
unique
tasty.
in that form, just the form of it as well is unique in terms of the form and the flavor too.
Right.
So,
John Legend, not
agree.
bad. As you said, coming in from the beach, great wine to have sip on all day. There's some clunkers for me, but you were pretty kind overall. But SJP, no, I can't go there.
You're not. You're not alone.
I know.
You're not alone, Callie.
Well, I encourage everybody who listened to us, watched us in this tasting, to go try some of these wines.
Absolutely.
Because they're actually not bad overall. And there's tons more celebrities who are making wine.
Right.
And now I'm kind of tempted to go taste all of their stuff just to see where we are.
And I feel like they're not just slapping their name on it.
Right. They're actually
these
into
are
it.
wine lovers, and whether their taste aligns with my taste or your taste, of course, that's unpredictable. But these are wines clearly from people who care about wine, and they're real.
Well, the two of us really care about wine. I know you do. Thank you for joining me for this great tasting in our summer fun series, Celebrity Wine Tasting.
Great day.
We'll be back at this again soon, I'm sure. Jonathon Alsop is the founder of the Boston Wine School and the author of the Wine Lover's Devotional and In Vino Veritas.